One of the best things about living in Colorado Springs is that you're super close to the mountains. And because of that, you have some of the best hiking trails within a super short distance. So if you're thinking about moving here or you're visiting, want to go over the top 3 hiking trails that you got to check out first. If you're new here, my name is Ben, and in this channel we make videos about what it's like to live and move to Colorado Springs. Also, we are a team of realtors, so if you are getting any value out of these videos, go ahead and give us a call or a text. We'd love to hear from you. So I was thinking about like how to make this video helpful for you guys, and I was gonna make a list of like the top 5 hiking trails you have to check out, but I think it's gonna be more helpful if I go over some of the ones that you gotta check out first because they're a little more beginner friendly. The payoff in terms of the effort you put in with the actual hike are just a little higher than some of the others. And instead of just talking about the hikes like we do on a lot of different things in this channel, today I really wanted to take you around on these hikes so you can get a really good feel for what they're like. And luckily we did have some family in town, and my father-in-law, Donnie, actually has his own channel where he travels and gets a bunch of different good footage. So I was able to capture some really cool things for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy. So the first place you really got to check out is Red Rocks Open Space. So Red Rocks Open Space is going to be just near Old Colorado City on the way to Manitou. And the way it's positioned, you just have a giant piece of land that's right next to Pikes Peak, and you have a ton of different options for a variation of skill levels or fitness levels. So my father-in-law, Donnie, decided to hike part of it today. So we did, what was it? The Canyon Loop?
Canyon Loop Trail?
Yeah, something like that. And then we went over to the Quarry Pass portion of it. So it was a really short hike, but did it that way because it was starting to get dark. But I don't know, what are your thoughts, Donnie?
Man, this place is so beautiful. It's like an urban paradise, kind of just tucked away right in the middle of town. It's right off of the highway, and there's subdivisions all around parts of it, but you could never tell by walking through here. It just feels so isolated and remote inside this canyon, and it's great. It used to be a quarry a long time ago, so there's steps that are actually carved into the side of the red rock, so you can climb all the way up and over, and it's just a beautiful place. I'm so happy we did this hike.
Again, I think the way it's just positioned near the mountains, where you get like kind of that urban feel, because you're right next to the city, but then you have this just miles and miles of hiking trails, makes it super unique. And then there's like areas where you can go up into the mountains if you want. You know, say you're an avid trail runner and you want to do something a little bit more challenging, then you have options for that. But if you're someone who maybe lives at sea level, who is coming here and wants to experience something super pretty, but you only want to go on maybe like a mile hike max, this gives you some flatter options where you can still see quite a bit, but it's not super challenging. So I think the kind of versatility of what you have, in my mind, I think that's really one of the reasons that makes it such a good option for everyone who's visiting or about to move to Colorado Springs to check it out.
So one of the really cool things about this park is that it's about probably a mile or 2 that way is Garden of the Gods, which is busy with tourists. It's crowded. It's one of the most popular free things to do in Colorado Springs, and it's absolutely beautiful and more grand. But over here, just a mile or 2 to the south, you have Red Rock Canyon Open Space. It has the same kind of rocks. It has really good trails, the same kind of things to see, and hardly anybody comes here except locals, so it's a lot less crowded.
Also, aside from just like hiking and running trails, you do have a couple other things. You have like the dog park that's right in the middle of it here. Not sure the exact size, but it's pretty big, and it's all fenced in, which is super nice. And then just behind us, you have a mountain biking course that looks pretty challenging. I think it's probably on the more intermediate to advanced side, but you also have that, which just kind of makes it nice where you don't have just options for like hiking and running. So today we are at the trailhead for 7 Bridges. So this trail is going to be located and stem off from North Cheyenne Canyon, which is located to the north of the Broadmoor area. And this is a really good spot because it has a ton of different trails, but today we picked to do 7 Bridges, which I think is a good one for anyone who has a little bit of stamina for a slightly longer hike. So it's around 3 miles in total, and you cross 7 bridges, hence the name. So it's about 800 feet of elevation gain. So we just got done actually doing the hike. Donnie, what did you kind of think of it?
Yeah, it was definitely a little more challenging than I anticipated. When you start off, it's kind of deceiving because it starts off with about a 3/4 of a mile stretch of just flat gravel trail that's really wide. That's pretty easy, so it's no big deal. And just a tip, be very careful not to pass up the trailhead, because there's a sign over to your right that says 7 bridges, and it's kind of tucked away, so it's really easy to walk right past it if you're not paying attention. Okay, maybe we could have planned this out a little bit better. We decided to separate from the girls, my wife and my daughter. Ben, my son-in-law, and I decided to separate so that we could lag behind and get some footage without holding up the girls, who did not prefer to be featured on camera. And now we got separated and we're trying to find where they are. We don't know if they even took this trail, but Ben ran on ahead to try to see if he could catch up with them, and I'm gonna wait here for him. And if he doesn't run into them up there, then we're gonna go back to the vehicle. One of us is gonna wait there, the other one's gonna jog ahead.
Groups of women, neither of them are them, so.
We found them. There was a confusing scenario. It's really easy to miss this trail sign and keep on going straight, and that's what they did. And then they doubled back and saw the trail sign, and then we met them on the way back down. So all good. But the trail, it's listed as moderate in all trails, but coming from sea level, it was definitely a little bit challenging for me, but definitely worth the effort and lots of fun.
Yeah, totally agree. I think if you are coming from sea level, it might be helpful to be just in decent fitness, but overall I think since it's just a couple miles long, and the scenery, if you go all the way up, isn't that much better necessarily than the start of it, so you really can turn around because it's an out and back trail, and you don't need to necessarily do the whole thing, which I think makes it just a little bit more doable kind of for everyone.
Yeah, definitely wear some good hiking shoes, something with grips, because there's, like Ben mentioned, there's some elevation gain, and on the way back down I did slip and fall on my ass, possibly. Can neither confirm nor deny that happened.
I think we all did at least once. So.
Yes, it was a lot of fun though.
All right guys, so we are at the start of the Mount Cutler trailhead, and I've got to say this one is probably my favorite out of all three in terms of just the views throughout and how easy it is. The payoff is just super worth it compared to some of these like 7 bridges where it's pretty throughout, but there's not necessarily a huge payoff at the end. With Mount Cutler, you get a little bit more of a payoff. So it's about a mile up and then a mile down, so 2 miles round trip. It is like a slight steady uphill the whole way, which is kind of a con for people who are coming here from sea level, but if you take it slow, it's really not too bad. It's not too steep. I'll have to look up the exact elevation gain. I'll put it right here so you can kind of get an idea, but overall it's not that steep, so I think should be a good one, but let's check it out. So we made it to the top of the Mount Cutler trailhead, to the summit, and I've got to say, like, this is one I haven't done before, and like compared to a lot of these hikes, I feel like the way that you can see the canyon and then you get like a whole like scenic mountain shot, and then you also have like all of downtown that you can see. I mean, you basically have views throughout the entire hike. What do you think?
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite hikes. The views up here are stunning, and it's relatively easy. Like I mentioned before, if you come from sea level, it's a little bit challenging, you know, lung capacity wise to hike up here, but it's less than a mile to
yeah,
get.
It is like uphill, I guess, but still, aside from that.
Yeah, but it's short and it's doable for pretty much anyone. You know, one thing is you want to be careful with bringing kids up here because there's kind of a narrow ledge that you have to cross. But my favorite thing about this hike is that you can see 7 falls and you do not have to pay.
Yeah, it's definitely super nice. I mean, I just feel like you get the best of everything, and the views start from like the very beginning. So if you're someone who like likes to hike but isn't a huge fan unless there's like awesome views, this one you have like motivation throughout because you have good views the entire time. So I think out of the 3 that we've checked out, gotta say I think Mount Cutler is probably my favorite.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorites too.
So I think all 3 of these hikes are super worth checking out if you're visiting or you're moving here and you want a little intro into what Colorado Springs hiking is going to be like. So that kind of does it. As always, if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and subscribe and we'll see you guys next time.